dawn of day, to me as though it was gray. And when the tide came in, I knew my head was even spinning. In a band played on a night, we danced until dawn. We heard a delightful sound, and the people gathered round. I heard them say, and I heard them play. The band played on.
So, how was Pumapunku destroyed? Well, they're not sure. Some say flood. And based on our last slice, we were talking about the City of the Lizard people in LA, and I just got thinking about it, so I did some research and about vanished civilizations in the area, and found a lot of funny things. You see, if Pumapunku was around at the time of the lizard people, and all this damage happened to Pumapunku, doesn't have that washed look like some of the post-flood stuff. With all their excavations and stuff, I started thinking, well, maybe the fireballs that caused the lizard people to make the underground city and maybe caused the vitrification of the stones at Pumapunku. The sheer heat could have caused such vitrification, and if it was far enough away, it would superheat it and then, pass by. Now, I don't think the elongated skull people are actually the ones that lived in Pumapunku. I think they were living around it, but that's just my opinion, of course. But let's say a big meteor did come through the area and cut out a swath 200 miles in each direction from it. Could certainly raise havoc all up and down the western seaboard. I find it interesting that there's no traces of the metal used to hold the blocks together. I don't think there's any doubt that there was an advanced technology compared to the rest of the area at Pumapunku, but some of their cuts, like this one, just don't seem to be very wise as far as shaping. It looks like it would take a lot more shaping, and as like the lizard people were supposed to have done, perhaps they had a way of liquefying the rock with a chemical as described by the Indians and Native Americans to that engineer up in LA. It might explain a lot of the mysteries surrounding these things. So if we were to extrapolate this damage and follow the route from Pumapunku and its amazing architecture, and following the curve of the earth. Now, I took very great care in following the curve of the earth, and the longitudes and latitudes and all that. But if you follow it up and extrapolate all the way up the coast, you see that it very well could have hit the area that we're talking about. As you'll see a little bit further on, there is some evidence to suggest a meteor shower in the Washington State area. And for something to come by and just totally rip Pumapunku and Tiwanaku and all those to shreds, it seems to me that it would have had to have been something very major, very, very major. So here's Pumapunku, and you'll see part of some of that other from high up, and So, as you can see, there wasn't much left. Here's an interesting cut. How do you like that one? Whose idea was that? Let's just make it as hard as possible. They must have had an easy way to do this stuff, or they'll say, couldn't have done that. I don't believe. That's my own opinion, of course. As usual, we welcome yours. Here's a really old photo of the Stargate, or this Gate of the Sun, or whatever they have decided to call it now. Changes now and then. So we have this conundrum, this mystery that surrounds this area. So if you look here, you see these are areas, a lot of these areas, not all of them, but a lot of these areas were taken out by something major. I found this quite interesting. It reminds me of some stuff overseas, some of the Sumerian stuff, some of the Greek stuff. This, I believe, is either in Tiwanaku or Machu Picchu. Alright, here's a reconstruction of what they think Pumapunku would have looked like in the day, up to a point, I guess. So this is Pumapunku from much higher up, and if you look at the mountain ranges and where Pumapunku is, it would be almost like the mountain ranges would have reflected any heat signature from a passing comet back to it. I don't know this for a fact, I'm just speculation. Here's a possible route that the comet could have took, or the meteor, that would have still been within range of doing the damage to Pumapunku. And if you look, you see how the curvature of the Earth brings you right up along that coastline. It's amazing how close. So here's a place in Washington State with several impact craters and a little field that I circled that seemed to be kind of strange. So now we're looking at the whole western seaboard and the possible route. Now remember, with this meteor, it's very probable, given the possible size of the thing. You notice that those meteor craters and Yellowstone are within spitting distance of each other. I found that interesting, although I do not think that Yellowstone was an impact. Could have been, but most scientists agree that it was volcanic in nature. This is the underwater structures just outside of Los Angeles that show some areas that could house caves and such. This is another picture of that meteor strike, and you know, I verified that with some height gauges. Alright, here's a better look at the shelf that extends out from the west coast. It shows some very promising cave locations that could be there. Hard saying without being able to go out and dive it, because it's pretty deep to go diving, so I guess we'll have to just imagine. More areas to consider, just to base it on that reptilian cave structures that supposedly were in place. Since it's been shut off, I guess there's no way to really tell, but it's something to think about. As I said, nothing is really impossible. Here's something from Pumapunku that is interesting, is the extended swastika design. And this here gets me every time. This statue, something about this says something about lizard people and humans. And I'm not sure why I think that, but that's our slice for now. I hope you enjoyed what we got, and see you next time on The Slice.
of day, to me as though it was gray. And when the tide came in, I knew my head was in a spinner. In a band played on a night, we danced it till dawn. We heard a delightful sound, and the people gathered round. I heard them say, and I heard them play. The band played on.